72 hours. Actually, more than 72 hours is where we are in our fast for this week. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life. Take charge of your life and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. We are avoiding those complications, and we are living limitless lives, which says that we're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're showing up with our best self, our best health, and our best plans, and we're going to be successful. And we are at the end of our fast for this week. Hey, congratulations to all of you who are out there. If you're new to me, go ahead and put a new in the comments, because we'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music, and let you know that we are excited that you are here. If you have questions, go ahead and put those in the comments. Put a Q in front of it so we know that that's a question that we need to get to, so that we can answer your questions as we move through the space. Welcome, whatever platform you're on, whether that is LinkedIn or Twitch or Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. We welcome you from wherever you are. Those of you who have been seeing seeing our content on other platforms. Shout out quickly to Atlanta Berean and also to Nashville Riverside. Thank you for coming through and hanging out with us. Welcome, and wherever you are, if you're here, go ahead and drop in the comments where you are watching from. I know we've got people in New York, we've got people in California, Nebraska, we've got some people in Korea and the Netherlands. We've got some folks in Ohio and Georgia, and of course here in Alabama as well. So welcome you from whatever corner of the planet you're on and whatever time zone you're in. And so glad that you are here in our space. We are reversing our diabetes. We're improving our metabolism. We are working to get off of medication. That is the goal of what we do here. And we are using fasting as one of those amazing tools. I see some of our community members popping in, so we'll come and say hello to you here in just a little bit. But you know how we do it. I've got my monitors off to the side that we'll take a look at. Here's my Dexcom. My Keto Mojo and my Contour. And then, of course, right below me, you'll see there, well, I haven't pulled it up yet, but we'll get to that in just a minute. You'll see my Dexcom Clarity Report. I think that logged out while I was talking. So that you can see what's been going on with my blood sugars here over the last little bit. Let's go ahead and pull that back up so you can see. There it is. So right down below me, you'll see that is my Dexcom Clarity Report, and we'll take a look at what those blood sugars have been doing. If you have been kind of following us, if you are new to the channel, one of the things I do want to point out is on the channel we've kind of simplified, we've simplified the process for you to jump in and get started with the things that we are doing here on the channel. We've made it very simple, and on the channel now, all the other videos, which are still on the channel, are not showing up on that main channel page. So if you go there, you should see two playlists now. One is called Start Here, right? Start Here, and that is the process of walking down the pathway that we are currently on. So if you're interested in doing the things that we're doing, walking down this journey or being in this journey that we are on, if you go to the YouTube channel, you'll find there that there is that playlist that says Start Here, and we've kind of simplified that for you. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Here we are. And so right here, this is where we are right now. That's the episode that's airing right now, right? So that's why it says live. But right below that, you'll see Start Here, Reverse Diabetes and Reclaim Your Health with Dr. Dwain Woode. So if you get there, this is a curated list of videos that we've done that walks you through the path and the journey that we have been on. So if you're interested in jumping in saying, hey, how do I get started? That's it right there. In the description, there is a free PDF that you can download, and I'm going to grab that link actually and drop it into our comments. But what this PDF does is it walks you through the videos and breaks it into 4 different parts. Start with vision, understand what's really going on, master the tools that actually work, and then putting it all together. Right, so that's the tool that you will use. If you go to our website, and it's DwainWoodeMD.com. We've also simplified the website as well, so that if you scroll down, there's a welcome video from me on the website. And then right below that, you'll see two things as well. The first one is the same thing that you saw. This is the Getting Started Roadmap, and that's to allow you to download the free PDF. So you can get there either from the website, or you can get there from the website, or you can get there from the YouTube channel. And then of course, if you want to just go and start watching, you can click on this this link here, and it will take you, or this box, this button, and it will take you to the YouTube channel, so you can begin watching that same playlist that we had that says start here. This is with the intention of trying to simplify the things that we are doing, okay, so that you can just jump in and you can plug right in to what's going on the channel and what's going on in the community. So back to the YouTube channel. So I said there were two things. The other thing that you will find there on the channel is a second playlist. And the second playlist says this week's videos. So if you were ever coming to this space and you're like, well, where are we right now? I'm glad I walked through the get started here. I've gone through that, but where are we right now? And you want to know what are the videos and what are the topics that we're working on? That is right there in this week's videos on Limitless Living. Okay, so that helps you to get started and just jump in and find out where we are and how you move through that space. One of the things I do want to point out is we are in the middle of our MOVE campaign. Remember, metabolic optimization via exercise. And so if you go into the playlist, you will see these. We're on day 85, I believe, today. We're on day 85. If you want to see, hey, what did I eat as my first meal or my last meal before I started the fast, you can go there and you'll see our pop-up, and there's a video for when I did that. Of course, this week we're concentrated on walking, so let me go ahead and pop that up. Okay, that's not quite what I intended, but that's okay. But you, if you get there, you will pop up, and it will show you the list of videos that we have done for this week. So get in there and take a look at that. All right. So let's go ahead and we're gonna hop over and take a look at what's been going on with my blood sugars. So first, we're gonna take a look at my Libre, and so here is my Freestyle Libre, and we're looking at this number right here. And you'll see for most, so right now it's 56, all right, 56. And if you're watching that, don't be alarmed. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then down here, you'll see the graph that shows what my blood sugar has been running over the last, this is the last 12-ish hours. Yeah, so to a little over 12 hours. And you see for most of today, my blood sugar has been running below 70. So the fact that it's red says that that's below 70. If it were above 70, it would be white. And you remember we see that before. If I go into the insights and go to the report and look at my time in range over the last 7 days, you'll see that I'm in target 70% of the time, with 30% lows, and the lows are during the time I'm fasting. So total, if I combine those two, that's 100% of my numbers that are either in target or low, right? Which is exciting because we're fasting, so we want it to be low. If I go over here to the 90-day view, I'm in target 88% of the time, with 12% in the low area. And combining those once again, that gives us 100%. If I go over to my Dexcom, and this is the G7, up here at the top, there is my blood sugar for today. And then if we scroll down, as we did in the other one, we'll see this is my blood sugar, what has been running over the last 3 hours. But let's go ahead and let's change the 24-hour period. You'll see that my blood sugars have actually been approximating 70. So let's go ahead, I'm going to put my finger on it, and you get to see what the actual numbers are. So let's start over here, and you see we're running in the 70s and 80s, 70s and 80s, 70s, 80s, and so this is the last 24 hours, right? 70s and 80s, 70s and 80s, 70s and 80s for the last 24 hours. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at what my monitors are saying. So I've got my Keto Mojo and I've got my free contour. So let's grab a strip. And so this is the ketone. This is for the blood sugar. I need strips for the contour. And then, of course, I need a lancet. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look. So I'm going to grab a strip out first for this guy. And then open up the strip for the Keto Mojo. And this is the glucose strip. And I'm going to go ahead and open up, like I normally do, open up the one for the ketones as well, because that's the one that usually gives me the trouble getting it open. And see, there you go. I know, for some reason I can't just tear it down straight down the middle. But that's okay. We're getting it out. And I'm going to go ahead and, well, I want to get it out. Yeah, there we go. And so here's my lancet. And as you know, I don't use a lancing device. I just simply open up the lancet, get a finger, and I usually use this one right now. So let's find a spot and let's get a poke, and hopefully that gives me a good drop of blood. So that was not brisk, but it was enough. So get that one started. Here is the contour, and what do you think my ketones are going to be? Right. So right now we are actually 73 hours into this week's fast. Let's go back over here. And so you'll see 59 for the Keto Mojo, 60 for the contour, and of course right there 75 for the Dexcom. And so let's get this out. We're going to add or put in the ketone strip. And so 73 hours of fasting. Let's get a drop of blood and see what that gives us. All right. And so what do you think? What do you think? Oh, did it? No, it didn't start. Look at that, guys. All right, let's get another one. That's the second time it's done that to me this week. Let's get another strip in. All right, here we are. And you know what that means? That means I have to stick my, well, let me see if I can get a, nope, I've got to stick myself again. Oh, that's okay. That's all right. And ow, ow, ow. So, yeah, got a good drop this time. And go ahead and get that started. There we go. All right. So that just shows how quickly the blood dries, right? Because I thought I had a drop on there, but I think it had dried by the time I got there. So 3, 2, 1, and ketones of 3.1. 3.1, what my ketones are. Isn't that amazing? All right, so 3.1 are what the ketones are, and let's have a conversation quickly about ketones. And so ketones are the breakdown product, or one of the products for when my body is burning fat. And so when we are in ketosis, we want ketones, well, not we want, but ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 is considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. So let me go ahead and I just pulled it over to I pulled it over here. And so we're looking at these three numbers. All right, so there's that big number in the middle, that's a 1. And then down below, you'll see that is my blood sugar. So in the red is the 59 that we saw on the monitor, and then the ketones were 3.1. And this number right here is a ratio. It's called the glucose ketone index. And it is a ratio of the glucose to ketones. Now, if you're dividing 59 by 3.1, you're like, well, that's not 1. So let's go ahead and let me show you how that's done. Let me pull my calculator up. So 59 and 3.1, I've got to remember that. So here's my calculator. So 59 is what the blood sugar is, and I've got to convert it to international units. And in order to do that, I divide by 18. The 59 divided by 18 it gives me this. And then if I divide that by 3.1, then that gives me 1.05, which is what we saw, that 1.0. And so what I want is I want my glucose to be low, I want my ketones to be high, and I want my glucoketo index to be as low as possible. Okay, so right now we're at 1, and I have ketones. What does that mean for me, and why is that good? Let me pull the graph up so we can talk about that as we're going through. So the reason that that's good is that my blood sugar is low. Well, let me go back to that graph, that screen for a minute. Right, so my blood sugar is low, and when you guys first saw the low, I think probably a lot of people were like, oh my goodness, your blood sugar is low. And the reason that that's not an issue is that my body also has ketones. So the ketones are now the energy source that my body is using to run. And so the fact that the blood sugar is low doesn't really mean much, because I have ketones that are what are powering my body right now. And if my body needs sugar, as it's burning my fat cells, it has the ability to convert some of that or part of that into sugar. So I want the glucoketo index to be as low as possible. I want the blood sugar to be low, and I want the ketones to be as high as possible. And right now I'm in the therapeutic ketosis range. As I mentioned before, 0.5, less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above that is considered to be therapeutic ketosis. Now, going back to the graph that I just pulled up, a couple of points here. Ketones come out when insulin level is low. So as long as your insulin level is up, then ketones are not going to show up. Well, I shouldn't say they're not going to show up. They're going to show up, but they're not going to show up as profoundly or as high as they could be. Because your body at that point, the reason insulin is there is your body has sugar. And as long as your body has sugar, then it doesn't have to go to burn fat. But once the sugar goes low, the insulin levels drop, then it gets to go to the fat cells, the stores, and begins burning that. And so that's what you see here. So blood sugar was high, 115. And when I say high, relatively speaking, blood sugars are high and ketones are low, right? 0.3, so below the therapeutic range. And then as the blood sugars go up, right? So here, blood sugar went up to, not blood sugar, but the ketones blood sugar went low, 59. And then the ketones went up 1.4, and that's when we did our check-in yesterday. And then now that the blood sugar is lower, which is right here, actually it's the same thing, my ketones actually went up higher, so 3.1. And that's what we want when we're talking about looking for being in ketosis. If you're doing a ketogenic diet, if you're doing a fasting mimicking diet, all those are the numbers, those are the types of numbers we want. Once again, we want the glucoketo index to be as low as possible, blood sugars to be low, and then ketones to be as high as possible. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at my report. And so here is my Dexcom Clarity, and my average blood sugar over the last 14 days is 100. And I see someone asking about how this is measured, and let me pull this back up over here. So I have two monitors. I have a Dexcom on this arm. This is the Dexcom G7 right there. And I have a Freestyle Libre 3. This is a 3 Plus. And so that's how that's being monitored. Of note, and some people have asked me about some of the other products that are out there. There's an implantable one, and I actually have two in. Those, we don't show those. Well, I can't show them because they're under the skin. And right now they're not functional, so I can't show you the numbers. But I do have the implantable ones in. We used to do those in our office, but that is also out there. They've now gone, I believe, to a year, if I remember correctly. All right, so let's go back here. All right, so average blood sugar over the last 14 days, 100. I'm in target 96% of the time, target being anywhere from 70 to 180, and my my glucose management indicator is 5.7. So if I were to get an A1C based on the current blood sugars, that's where I would be. If I look at my 90-day average, let me go ahead and change that over to 90 days. You'll see that the blood sugar average is 115. We usually tell people we want their average blood sugar to be between 100 and 120, and that is in keeping with that. I'm in target 98% of the time, target being 70 to 180, and my glucose management indicator is 6.1. So once again, if I were to get an A1C, I would expect it to approximate a 6.1. I can't call it an A1C because it's a calculation, but that gives me an indication of where I am. Now, if I go and we're going to take a look at what's been going on with my blood sugars, we'll come back and take a closer look at this here in just a little while as we talk through the fasting process. But let's go back, and I want to start on Tuesday, right? So on Tuesday was when I started my fast. And so go back and watch the show where you see me eat my last meal before I got into the fast. That was 3 days ago. And so blood sugars right about there was 115. And then from that point, based on what I ate, notice my blood sugar went up to about 121, 124, 122, and then started dropping right into the low 100s, into the 90s. Now going into the next, so that was Tuesday afternoon, into the next morning in the 90s and 100s, right? 106, 102, 103, 112. So kind of hanging around in the low 80s to low 100s is what I would say. All right, so that was, and here I am, right about here. This is 24 hours. Going into the next day. All right, so we're in the 80s and 90s, dropped into the 70s there for just a minute. 80s and 90s, and then continues going down into the 70s, 70s. And notice, right there, we dipped into the 60s for just a brief moment, and then back up into the 70s, low 80s, and then into today, we're in the 70s and 80s, into where we are right now at this moment, okay? And so in the fast, that is the pattern that we're looking for. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and let me do a quick check-in with you so that you know where I am. I love doing the check-ins because there are 3 places that people will have their most challenge with fasting, and that's how they're doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. You will also recognize that these are 3 of the domains of health when we went through that series. If you've not been in a position to get ready to do the things you need to do for your health. Because as you know, if you've tried before, okay, you try to get good blood sugars, you try to lose weight, you try to improve your blood pressure and your cholesterol, or any other of those parameters, what happens is you get started, you're motivated, and then after a while things kind of fall apart. And they don't fall apart because you don't have a desire, or you don't have a vision, or you don't have motivation. They fall apart because the domains of health, one, are not aligned. You've not taken you're not taking time to kind of look through each of those to make sure that they are the way they're supposed to be, to help support you as you now put this process together to improve your health. So make sure you go through and watch that. But 3 of the domains of health and the check-in that I do, physically, mentally, and emotionally, those are the 3. And when I talk about physically, I am today feeling energetic, today feeling well rested. Now, yesterday, I didn't feel that way, as I mentioned on our show last night. And that was because of not getting good sleep the night before. But today, feeling rested, I'm not feeling weak, tired. I'm not feeling as though I am walking through molasses or mud, as some people will say. And because of that, when we think about my thought process, my mentation is good. I'm feeling clear. I'm not feeling foggy-headed. I'm not feeling as though I'm in a bubble. Those are all phrases that people use. And just a brief point going back to the physical, I'm not feeling lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, any of those things, because I'm doing a good job of hydrating. You recall there were a couple of episodes where I was not doing a good job of hydrating, and so I was feeling lightheaded, sweaty, dizzy, or even feeling feeling tired because I was not hydrating. And then, so physically, mentally, and then emotionally, right now, I'm just elated. One of the benefits of fasting is that the dopamine comes out because you get a dopamine burst from fasting. You get mental clarity as those hormones are swirling around. Cortisol levels drop. Insulin is down. The food noise is gone, and my body is running on efficient energy right now. So that all translates into a better emotions. So as you hear me talk, particularly at the end of fasting, as we get to the end of fasting, and I'm pretty jovial most of the time, but as we get to the end of fasting, there's this I don't want to call it a euphoria because that's a bit too much, but there is this sense of peace and energy that comes over you that can't be described. So great time to begin thinking and processing. Sometimes this is where people have deep connections with themselves, where they begin listening to themselves, because all the other things are stripped away. And all you're left with is your thoughts. Because the food is not there. The food noise is not there. The hunger, the appetite stimulation is not there. And okay, now I've got to listen to me. I've got to listen to my body. I've got to listen to my thoughts. So great position to be in. All right, and then let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members. I see you out there. Let's go ahead and pop over. And let's see, I think Cornelia was the first one to show up. So, hey, Cornelia, how are you? She says, hello, Dr. Wood and LLG. Hey, glad that you're here. Cornelia says, Ohio. Okay, Ohio in the house, Buckeyes. I'm not sure if you're a Buckeye fan, but I lived in Ohio. As a matter of fact, that's where I did my training for my residency. So we were there for, 4 years? Yeah. Still have family, still have friends there. So got to get back there. Anthony B says, happy Friday. Hey, Anthony, thank you for coming through. Glad that you're here. We've missed you in the community, so thanks for popping in. And then, so this was the question, zero viewer, that I was answering. It says, how does it measure that? And yes, I do have monitors, right? So I've got a Dexcom and I've got a Freestyle Libre monitor that I am using. The Libre, the Libre, they have a new app, and that's the app that you've been seeing me use over the last several episodes. We've gone away from the old app and we've installed a new one, so that's what I'm using. And then Cornelia was guessing 2.4, and we were actually 3.1. Cornelia says hello to Anthony. Steve says great ketones. Mine was 2.0 this morning. Hey Steve, great man. I love that. And he says my GKI is 2.84. Okay, there you go. Anthony says hello, Cornelia. Steve says hello. Cornelia, hi to Steve. Cornelia, hi to Steve. And Anthony says I'm in the DMV. What's up, DMV? We got a lot of friends and family in the DMV. So Anthony, next time we come up there, we're gonna have to look you up, man. I don't know if you're on the alumni relations Facebook, but I just posted some pictures in there, so just kind of reminiscing. But glad that you are here with us. All right, so once again, welcome to everyone, whatever platform you are on. I'm glad that you are here with us. I'm glad that you're taking the time to spend. And I applaud you because being here means that you are taking a step. You are taking a step to really connect with yourself and to right your metabolism. And that, after all, is what we want to do. We want to make sure that we are doing the best possible job of putting of creating a space where our metabolism improves. And fasting is one of those amazing things that we're doing in order to do that. And so we're going to talk about how do we fast? What does that mean? How do we do a good job of fasting? So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's do that right now. All right. So fasting. Whenever I talk about fasting, I divide fasting into three different areas: how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast, and then how to break the fast. But before we go there, let me set this up for you. So the question that people ask is, why fast? What are the benefits of fasting? And we've done extensive videos and series on fasting. But in a nutshell, fasting is an amazing process that allows us to reset our metabolism. Around the world right now, there are over 1 billion people that suffer from diabetes or prediabetes. Not to mention the numbers of people, the countless numbers of people that have heart disease or are predisposed to heart disease, who've had strokes or are predisposed to strokes, people who have fatty liver, people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome, people who are at risk for metabolic syndrome or have metabolic syndrome, people who have obesity or are increasing in their weight, are struggling with weight issues. So if we take all of those people and put them together, that is an enormous amount of folks. And at the base of the problem is dysfunctional metabolism. I often say that if you go back several years, you will find that people had issues with morbidity and mortality. That is, people got sick, people passed away, and those things were based on either they got an infection that was not readily treated or we didn't have a treatment for, or they had trauma, they fell, something hit them, they got injured, and those were the things that caused morbidity and mortality. Flash forward now and thinking about our modern era, right, this modern life, as we say, then the things that we are having morbidity and mortality with, it's not that stuff. It is the things that come from our lifestyle. That is how we live. And we'll do a video and talk more about lifestyle issues. And we've done several already, but we'll come back and revisit that. But the lifestyle things that we talk about. Now, when I say lifestyle, often people hear exercise and eating. Exercise and eating. Now, those are two very important components of lifestyle, but those are not the only components. And that's why we talk about the domains of health. What does that look like? What are those things that are in your life that need to be in a good space so that you can be successful? The domains of health. And there are 8 domains of health: physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, and on and on. So 8 of those. And the question is, are those things functioning in a way that supports you as you try to improve your health and improve your life? So the domains of health. So when we talk about lifestyle, it's not just how you eat and how you exercise. Those are big components, but there are other things that go along with that. And so we've been talking through the path of the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. And that is, how do we position ourselves? What are the tools that we have that push us in the direction of being healthy? And the Limitless Living Health Action Plan has 7 pillars. They are walking, fasting, strength training, balanced bites, that is how we eat, rest and recovery, mental mastery, and structure and planning. And as part of that plan, one of the most powerful components, one of the most powerful pillars that you'll see there is this idea of fasting. And why is fasting such an amazing component? Fasting is an amazing component because it essentially hits the 3 pillars of reversing diabetes: decreasing our insulin, suppressing our appetite, and reducing our sugar. That's it. Those 3 components. If we do that, if you do that in your life, if you're able to successfully do that, then your chances of reversing diabetes, your chances of getting off medication goes out the window. And so the Limitless Living Health Action Plan gives you that space, or gives you that platform, gives you those parameters, gives you those guardrails, it gives you that blueprint, it gives you that checklist. And on the checklist is fasting. And so fasting is one of the tools. So if I'm going to use a tool, then I want to know how that tool works. How do I use it effectively? How do I use it optimally so that I can be successful in what I'm going to do? And so if we're using fasting as part of our plan, and we do several shows during the week to talk about what's going on in fasting, what fasting does. And today we're doing a complete review where we talk about how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast and what's going on in my body, and then how to end the fast. And you'll get to see what I'm going to eat for the very first time after 73 now plus hours of fasting. So once again, when I talk about fasting, we break it into three separate sections. How do we prepare for the fast? How do we get through the fast? And then how do we break the fast? And those are all three very important components. Now, preparing for the fast. And we've talked much about this, but when we're preparing for the fast, what we're saying is that we are getting ready for the fast. How do we set ourselves up that when the fast happens, as we're moving through the fast, that we are doing the best job of making sure we're doing what we need to do? And we've spent time talking about the physical, the mental, and the emotional components of fasting. I want to spend a little bit of time today as we go through this talking about hydration, and I want to talk about physical preparation. And I want to talk about the social preparation. So hydration, physical preparation, and social preparation. So let's go ahead and let's talk about hydration. So hydration is very important because when we're fasting, our body is in the process of breaking down fat cells as we get into that component, okay? And we'll talk about the different phases there in a minute. So as we get into fasting, our body, there are lots of hormonal changes that are going on. There are neuronal changes that are going on. Our muscles are having different things happen. And if we're not careful, if we're not hydrated well, the lack of hydration or decreased hydration can cause a problem for the fast. So in order for my body to move hormones around, in order for it to move nutrients around, in order for it to move oxygen around, all of that goes through what? It goes through the blood. Not the nerves, and that goes through the nerve, not the neurotransmitters, but that goes through the nerves. But everything else goes through the blood. And if my volume in my blood is lower, then the body can have issues getting through what needs to get through to the different tissues as I'm fasting. As an example, let's take a simple one. If I'm not hydrated and my body still has to get oxygen from my lungs because I'm breathing in, and it has to get oxygen to my finger, how do I get the same amount of oxygen to a particular place with lower carrying capacity? Well, I make the blood move faster, right? Because I got to get it here. I've got to get it to the toe. I've got to get it to the brain. I've got to get it right. I got to get it to all the different organs. So how do I keep that up with lower blood, lower volume? Well, I make everything go faster. And so people feel that as palpitations. They feel that as though the heart's racing or skipping a beat because we are not hydrated. When we're fasting, as we get into ketosis, ketones are broken down, or fat and all the tissues are broken down with enzymes. And there are waste products that come out of that breakdown. How do we get the waste away from that location? Well, it all goes through the blood. So if my volume is lower, then my body, those toxins that are there, because there are some ketones that we don't want, like acetone. If we don't want acetone, so it has to be taken from the tissue. It has to be brought to a place where the body can then expel it. And if my volume is lower, then the body can't do that efficiently. The enzymes and the processes that go through the body require lubrication. If I am not hydrated, then that process becomes less efficient. So you see that hydration, it's not just, oh, I didn't drink enough water. Hydration plays a big part in the fasting process itself. It plays a part in how your body works. It plays a part in your physiology, and ultimately plays a part in how your metabolism is going to function in the fast. So if we are hydrated well, then things begin working well. One of the challenges with hydration, and one of the challenges in fasting, is that when we're not eating, we also don't think about drinking, right? Because it's not on our mind. And so we have to deliberately be in a posture of saying, I've got to make sure I'm drinking, which is why you see me here whenever I'm on, I'm drinking. I've got my cup. At the office, I've got something in my office, when I'm seeing patients, and I go back and I'm drinking. So I'm mindful of the fact that I've got to continually be in the posture of putting some things in. So that's fluid. Electrolytes also are important, because if we are low on some electrolytes, that can cause issues in the fast itself. Now, the electrolyte part is interesting, because if we're doing a good job in our regular non-fasting times, right? This is our eating window. If we're doing a good job there of maintaining good nutrition, if we're eating nutrient-dense foods and we're maintaining good hydration, when we come into the fast, we won't have issues with those. But you can actually supplement that during fasting. There are several products that are on the market where you can use that. Be careful with those products, because we did a show a while ago now, where I went to the store and one of them said 0 sugar, and I picked it up, and so that's what I was drinking. And then I read the thing, and it says 0 sugar, but it has some calories from some other sweeteners that were in it. And so I was wondering, why were my blood sugars not coming where I would expect them? And it was because I was drinking this stuff that I thought was low or no calories. Remember, that's our goal. We are fasting from calories. So it's not just fluids and sugar, but we are fasting from calories. And so in that space, I was drinking, hydrating, and getting electrolytes, but I was actually using something that was that had calories in it. So anyway, that's a whole side note. But be careful. And so when you're getting products, make sure that you're reading them, particularly if you're using them during the fast and you are having a particular intention for fasting. The intention for fasting is that we're fasting from all calorie-containing foods or substances that we can eat. So make sure you do that. And then, so hydration, right? Hydration and electrolytes. The other component that we want to talk about as we talk about preparing for the fast. So that's preparation for the fast, is the physical preparation. And the physical preparation has to do with what are we doing physically around fasting. So if you are currently engaged in exercise, like you have a gym routine that you do, then when you're fasting, you can continue that process of the routine, particularly if you're doing fasting workouts. And fasting workout is for, there are people who actually deliberately fast because they want to enhance the growth hormone that comes out that helps them to maintain muscle mass. And so people will fast specifically and then do their workout because the growth hormone brings faster recovery from the workout. It brings better resilience and it actually maintains muscles. But if you've not been working out, then when you're fasting, you want to adjust what you do, because if you don't, then you end up exhausting yourself much more than you need to, and then your fasting feels as though you're dragging, lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, and all those things. Now, our goal ultimately, I guess let me pop there. Our goal is that you can work out during the fast. But if you are starting the fast, then don't all of a sudden go to the gym and start trying to run 2 hours and lift, weights all day. That's not the idea. What you want to do is you want to engage in light physical activities, activities that don't drain you. Walking, swimming, yoga, light physical activity. You want to reduce strenuous exercise. And you want to begin doing that 1 to 2 days prior to the fast, so that you're getting your body acclimated to the fact that, hey, I'm going to be going through this fast. I'm going to be, my energy levels or my energy supplies are going to be switching. Hormones are going to be changing. You want to aim for at least 7 hours of quality sleep before you fast. Ooh, come on. 7 quality hours. There's a whole conversation about sleep. Remember, sleep is not optional. There are a lot of hormonal changes that go on when we sleep. And then you want to begin reducing your caffeine or energy drinks as you are getting to the fast. Because the caffeine is a stimulant. It can make you hungry. The energy drinks they'll be great when you first drink them, but as you get into the fast, now you start to have similar to withdrawal symptoms. And we don't want that during the fast, because that then sets you up for craving. Remember, any stress on the body will push you in the direction of cravings, because that's how most of us satiate ourselves. That's how we pacify ourselves. That's how we numb ourselves. And we don't want that to be the case. Fasting itself is supposed to help us right some of that. But if we are coming into it with those substances, then of course that causes problems for us. And then I want to talk about our social preparation. Now here it says social emotional. We're going to skip the emotional for a minute and talk about the social. What does that mean? Social preparation. I fast from Tuesday afternoon after my meeting at work until Friday when I come on with you. That's my fasting regimen. I know it. You know it. My family knows it. My team at work knows it. In fact, there are times when we're thinking about something and I'll say, hey, I'm going to do such and such. And they'll say to me, oh no, remember, you're fasting. Or they'll ask me, are you going to adjust your fast? Because they know now what's going on. So when I go somewhere, people know. Now, what does that mean socially? Fasting is not intended to be a piranha. It's not intended for you to be that weird person. It's not intended for you to show up at the restaurant and announce to everybody that you're fasting. It's not intended to ostracize you. Fasting is intended to be a tool that you personally are using to right your metabolism. This is where the idea of play your own game comes in. I am making some decisions about my health and about how I regulate my health to be successful. Once I've come to that realization, come to that conclusion, then I now begin in my environment, in my social interactions. I begin fixing those. I begin regulating those based on what I want, right? Rhythm, alignment, and structure. Are the things I do, are they aligned with where I want to go? So that I'm going on vacation. It's a social event with my family. Do I decide I'm going to fast on vacation? Am I going to fast prior to going there? Am I going to shift my fasting time? Or I'm going to wait until I come back from vacation to do it? You have to figure out how that works. And so preparing for fasting means I'm looking at my social calendar. If my family reunion is coming up on Tuesday and Thursday, or Tuesday to Thursday, then I may not want to fast at that time because I'm interested in the social aspect of my life. Remember, that's one of the domains. But if I decide to fast, then I've got to be comfortable when I go to the reunion and people say to me, oh, try this, try that. What am I going to say? What are you going to say? What is the script that you have in your head that you're going to give? Because if you don't have a script, guess what's going to happen? You're going to feel awkward. We don't like to feel awkward, and we're going to end up eating. Or we're going to feel the pressure. So if you are going to fast at that function, then decide how you're going to do that. Everybody doesn't have to know. Like, you don't have to sit in the corner and be all sad. People say, what's going on? I say, well, I'm fasting right now. Well, that's not the right mindset. So socially, you've got to arrange your life so that fasting fits into it. If your family sits down at 6 o'clock to eat supper, then don't start fasting at 5 o'clock, because you're automatically creating friction. If you guys are going out of town this week and you normally fast, for instance, like I do, from Tuesday to Friday, and you guys are leaving on Thursday or Wednesday, then start your fast early. So do it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You guys, so we did that a couple of weeks ago. So we were going out of town on Thursday. My fast normally ends on Friday, so I started my fast on Monday. So one day early. So I got my fast in, and then I'm with the family at that point. Right? So we ate as we were going to eat, and I was with them. No, I still ate balanced bites, but there was not a conflict. And so we want to make sure that we do that. Okay? All right. Now, so we talk about how we prepare for the fast. Another important component of that is, how do we get through the fast, and what's going on? How are we successful in that fast? Right? So fasting successfully. Well, as we're fasting successfully, let me make one point back in the preparation part. And that is, what is your intention? What your intention is drives part of the success of the fast. If you're coming into the fast, and your attitude, not just intention, but your attitude. If you're coming to the fast begrudgingly, like, I really don't want to do this, I don't know why I'm doing this, they're making me do this, then fasting probably is not where you need to be at this point. Because fasting is a tool. I always say, I don't get mad at the hammer if I have to use it to put something on the wall. It is what it is. Something came off the wall, or I'm trying to put something up. I go get the tool that I need, and I use the tool. When I'm done, I put it back. Me and the hammer don't have a conversation. So fasting is a tool in your hand, and it is to give us a desired outcome. And the desired outcome is the benefit that we've identified, the metabolic reset. Now, there are lots of things that come out of fasting. So let's walk through a couple of those. Number one, blood sugars get better. Blood sugars get better. And we've seen that in the case of my blood sugars. Let me go ahead and pull that back up so that you can see what that graph looks like. Well, not the graph, but we'll see what that number is. So right now, blood sugar is 56. So blood sugar goes down. Because blood sugar is low, I know my insulin has to be down, because the body will not produce insulin in the face of low blood sugars. If that's the case, then I know also that my ketones are up. And ketones are up because my body is burning fat. And if it's burning fat, then I know that I am in ketosis and I'm getting those metabolic benefits. So what is the goal? I have to understand that. And then what's going on in my body? What's going on in my body in terms of blood sugar? So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go over here and let's take a look. And so started fasting right in here with a blood sugar of about 115. And so the next 12 hours, And we're going to say from 1, we're going to just go to the end of this day. From 1 o'clock to 1 o'clock the next morning, right? So we're going to stop here at midnight though. From 1 o'clock to 1 o'clock the next morning, then that is considered to be the, well, let's say 1 to 7, sorry, because so it's first 6 hours. It's considered to be the postprandial period. What does that mean? That means that that's the period during which my body is now breaking down fat, or breaking down the food that I ate, and it's categorizing it, and it's storing it, and it's sending it where it needs to go. So this period is technically not considered fasting. This is the sorting period. This is the period where the body is simply taking the food and is putting it away. It's kind of like you going to the grocery store and you come home and all the stuff that you bought, you're putting it into the cabinets, into the freezer, into the refrigerator, into the drawers, into wherever it's going. You're just putting it there. And that's what the body's doing. You just ate some food and it's sorting it and it's sending it where it needs to go. The first 6 hours. The next 6 hours, right? So moving forward, the next 6 hours, so starting about here, and moving is 6 hours later, so that'd be 8 o'clock, right about here. This is called the early fasting phase. And I want you to notice that we started at 1:15 over here. And we went 6 hours into the postprandial period. And then we went an additional 6 hours past that. So now we're 12 hours past fasting and the blood sugars are still 105. Because the body doesn't have, well, because the body still has the energy there. You ate it. It's there. So people will say to me, hey, I didn't eat for 8 hours. I didn't eat for 12 hours and my blood sugar was still high. Yes, it is, because it's still there. So imagine, right, and this is starting with a blood sugar of 115. Imagine if I started with a blood sugar of 200 or 220. So 12 hours later, there's no reason for me to expect that my blood sugar should be 100. Because here I am, 12 hours later, haven't eaten anything, and go back and watch what I ate to start the fast, I'm still 102. And then we get into the next 6 hours. So 8, right? So where are we? So right about, where am I going? Gotta learn how to count. So 8 hours later, 8 hours later, I'm now finally in the 90s. So we went from the postprandial period to the early fasting period, and now we are 18 hours into the fast. And now we finally see blood sugars that are going down. And so my body at this point is now using up all the sugar, and you'll see that blood sugar continue to drop. Right, so we started in the mid to upper 90s, and then we're dropping. Now we're going into the 80s, and so my body is now using up the sugar that's in my blood. And so if we go, so this is at 24 hours, and just in this period, 24 to 36 hours is when the glycogen in my liver is going away. Going further. Right, so here we are at 48 hours. And so finally we're in the 70s. So we went from the hundreds, went into the 80s and 90s. So now we're finally into the 70s. But notice 48 hours later, I'm still not 0. I'm still not below 70. So as we're walking through the process of what's going on in our body, the body is processing the food, and now it's taking the stuff out of the liver. It's using it up before it gets to fat cells. And so if I go back and look at what our ketones were, right? So we're looking at this middle one right here. So when we started the fast, blood sugar is 115, ketones 0.3. 24 hours later, let's still looking at the middle one. Blood sugar 71, ketones 1.0. So notice that the ketones have gone up with the blood sugar going down. And then as we come into a longer fast, finally now, let me get back there. Finally, blood sugars are low with the ketones that are much higher. And all that's happening in our body during that fasting period. So how do we get through that successfully? Number one, we want to make sure that we're hydrated. We want to make sure that we're rested. We want to make sure that we have some distractions, because if we are constantly thinking about food, and thinking about food occurs not because our body physically needs energy, it's because we are thinking about it up here. We see people going to eat and we want to eat. We're tired, we're frustrated, we're angry, we're bored. And how do we negate those? We usually eat. You're sitting at your desk and you got some peanuts on the table. Why are you eating? Just 'cause. And so the psychological hunger is what causes many people during the fast to not get through. But the body is doing what the body needs to do. It's burning sugar. And the fact that we have ketones is for me, I get excited about that. You know why I get excited about that? Because when I look at this, I see the changes. So per day of fasting, you should be getting between a half a pound to 1.2 pounds of weight loss. If you're on one of the GLPs, you should get more than that, actually. But that's it. So as you fast. And so low blood sugars, high ketones is amazing, because I love it, because that means my body has to get ketones from somewhere, and the only other place that can get ketones is from fat, unless I'm drinking ketones. And so that shows up in our metabolic improvement, which is indicated in our case, in many cases, by the weight, by the blood sugars that we've seen, and by the ketones. And so just like we talk about how do we get through the fast, and how do we start the fast, how do we get through the fast, we also want to talk about what happens when we break the fast. So that's the third component of fasting, and you get to see right now, what I am going to eat to break my fast. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Well, you might not get to see it because I didn't bring my fork and thought I had it. Ooh, okay. You get to see what I'm going to eat. May not get to see me eat it. All right, so here is, let me get those off the table. So here is what I have. And give me a second, let me call my assistant. All right, so here is what I have. So I've got a salad. And so my salad is, and we'll kind of walk through that here in a minute. And then I have some chicken. And this chicken is chicken actually that just before I came on. Hold on a second. So just before I came on, this came out of the smoker and this came out of the pot. So I've got some jerk chicken, and you guys know I told you that I make jerk chicken and curry every week, and this is the curry. And I pushed it off this week. I usually make it earlier in the week, but when I make it early, I'm not good enough yet to be able to cook without eating. Now today I was able to I picked my son up and I was like, hey, can you taste this for me? So he did that, and So did a good job of and letting me know. So we're gonna taste that in a minute and see what that's like. So here's my salad, and I usually eat a salad because the salad gives me bulk. But before we get into that, let me do something really quickly, and let's talk a little bit through the breaking of the fast. Okay, let's talk a little bit through the breaking of the fast. And the breaking of the fast is very important because how we break the fast can determine the success of the fast. How we break the fast, very, very important success of it, because we can undo some of the things that we did in the fast if we're not careful. And so what we want to do is we want to be mindful of a few things. Number one, and these are tools. These are ways to successfully get out of the fast. Number one, you want to monitor. Monitor. I can't stress that enough. People say, well, I'm not diabetic, so why should I monitor sugar? Well, you monitor so you can know what the food does to your body. So if there's something that you're going to eat that spikes your blood sugars high, that's probably not something that you want to eat as their first meal after the fast. So monitor. And if you are able to monitor ketones, that's important, particularly if you're fasting, because that gives you a wealth of information. So monitor, watch your portions. We'll talk about that because that's part of balanced bites. And then you want to eat slowly. It takes about 20 minutes for the signal to get from your stomach to your brain that you've eaten and that you're full. So if you're going fast, you can outstrip that and you end up eating twice as much, 3 times as much before the signal gets to the brain. And then you want to avoid sugary, highly processed foods because those will cause spikes in blood sugar. Spikes in blood sugar is not good for our metabolism, because once we have spikes in blood sugars, then we also have spikes in our insulin. And insulin, once insulin comes out, then the gates are open and all kinds of other things will happen. So just some tips there that I want you to be mindful of. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in. Let's walk through this meal here really quickly, so you can see what I'm eating. All right, so let's go through. So I've got a salad, and once again, I eat a salad in most of my meals because it gives me bulk. The salad has a lot of fiber. It makes me feel full because my ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, functions based on stretch. When I am full, when I eat bulk, then it sends a signal that I'm not that hungry, or I don't have to eat more. The salad also gives me nutrients. It gives me fluids, some hydration. So that's why I eat a salad. The fiber blunts the absorption of sugar, so that's always a good thing. So let's walk through this. Let's use balanced bites as our thought process. So number one, whole foods. And so most of what you see here, whole foods, except for there's some cheese right here and the salad dressing, which comes from, like I told you, there's a restaurant here that has amazing dressing. So that's what I got. We have some in the refrigerator. We actually brought some back with us when we went on our trip last week. So whole foods. Minimize processing. So once again, the cheese and the salad dressing would be processed. There are some banana peppers in here, and those are processed. There is some garbanzo beans, and that I got out of a can, so processed. But minimize processing. No added sugar. In this, the only thing that would add sugar would be the salad dressing. And of the things that are on my plate, by the way, of the things that are here, the things that probably spike my blood sugar the most are going to be the tomatoes, probably the carrots, and the salad dressing. Okay, so whole foods, minimize processing, no added sugar, lean protein, healthy fats. So here I've added more protein. So I went and I got some of the chicken that I cooked. So this right here, the darker one, that's the jerk chicken. And the lighter, kind of not so dark one, is the curry. So lean protein. Healthy fats. There's some fat in here. Olive oil is what I use. And in here, there's some cheese, healthy fats. That would be the only thing. starchy and non-starchy vegetables. I don't have a lot of starchy vegetables here. Most of this is non-starchy. So I've got, of course, the lettuce. We've got some cauliflower. Cauliflower is an interesting one. We'll leave it in the non-starchy. Broccoli. We've got the banana peppers. For fat, okay, there it is. I've got some fat and protein. Those are some boiled eggs that are right there. And then in terms of vegetable, also I've got some cucumbers. So whole foods, minimized processing, no added sugar, lean protein, healthy fats, starchy, non-starchy vegetables, flavorful and tasty. Oh yeah, I'll tell you that in a minute. But it looks good. I'm imagining it's going to be so good. My son said it was good. And then portion control. So remember, a lot of times it's not that we're eating too much or eating the wrong thing. It's just that we're eating too much of the wrong thing, of the right thing. Let me clean that up. So it's not that we're eating the wrong thing, but we're eating too much. So portions. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to, you get to see me right now eat for the first time after 72 hours. So let's go ahead and let's do that. If you are out there, if you've been fasting with us, if you did the first day, go ahead and put a 1. If you did the second day, put a 2. If you did the third day, put a 3. And then if you did the entire time, put a T in there. And are you ready? Let's do it this way. Let me see. I'm going to do this one. Here we go. Let's get some in here. 72 hours, first bite. Oh yeah. And what have you used to break your fast? What have you been using? I know we have several people out there who have gardens. As a matter of fact, one of our community members is always posting about her garden. So good, y'all. So what have you used to break your fast? Particularly, what protein? What protein have you been using? That's one that gets a little interesting for people who have certain diets that they're on, whether they are vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian. Right? Because if you're following balanced bites, remember, balanced bites is not a set of rules that are designed to constrain you. They actually are a set of guidelines to help you think through the food that you're eating. One of the things I've asked you guys to do is come up with what your default meal is. Right? So what is the default meal? The default meal is the meal. It doesn't matter where I show up. If I haven't taken the time to prepare, if I haven't brought something, I go to a restaurant, I go to somebody's house, I'm traveling on the road, I have in mind what the default meal is. So I can walk into any restaurant. We don't have to pick a special restaurant. You walk into any restaurant and you create that meal at the restaurant. So if you are able to do that, if you've taken the time to do that, then it really doesn't matter. Right? Some people get stressed when they travel. They go on vacation. They're going on the cruise. They're going, oh, my company is taking us to this particular place. It doesn't matter. Because you have your default meal. And the default meal is not a restriction. It is the thing that I'm going to go to that fits in my balanced bites. Okay? So let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members that I see out there. Let's see, where were we? Let me make sure that I grab. So Anthony said he was in the DMV, and Anthony said he worked in the Oaks for 11 years, taking a healthy separation. Hey, man. Glad you're here. So Anthony is a classmate of mine, y'all. So Anthony, thank you for coming through. Cornelia says, my blood sugar was 116 at the end of my fast today. Awesome. Cornelia, I love that. Hand clap for you. Steve says, that's good. Says, thanks, Steve. Tuesday at the start of my fast, it was in the low 200s, and it took 72 hours to get there. Cornelia, you get a hand clap and some music. Now, so one of the things you hear me say all the time, right? We educate, we empower, and we encourage, right? That's the Triple E formula for success. That encouragement is what you just saw there. So sometimes you're coming through and you are, well, my blood sugar is 200, my 200 is 250. Here's an example of someone who started out in the 200s, went through the fast, and blood sugars are now 116. Cornelia is one of our community members who has had some amazing results. Steve, another one. And Steve, I always pick on you, I know. Go ahead and put your weight for me and put how much you've lost. So Cornelia, blood sugar's down to 116. Jennifer says, howdy, what's up, Jennifer? And Jennifer actually is the community member I was talking about who has the garden. So she's always posting stuff and making me jealous. So Jennifer, what did you use for breaking your fast? Put it in the chat. Cornelia says, hi, Jennifer. And Cornelia, she put a T, so that means that she has been fasting with us the entire time. So we started on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so she's gone through the entire fast with us. And then love this, Deblier Snell, Pastor Snell. Hey, y'all, this is my pastor. This is the shepherd of our flock here at our church. An amazing speaker, amazing person. So thank you for coming through, Doc. I'm glad that you are here in this space with us. Wow. And then Cornelia says, bone broth and eggs in a small salad. Okay, good. So that's what you use to break the fast. Now, you guys remember, I use bone broth, and we'll come back through and do shows, and you're seeing what I'm eating right now. We'll continue doing those shows. If you have something specific that you want me to try as either to break the fast, go ahead and send that. Pam, who I don't think I see Pam in the community right now. Pam gave us a suggestion for a salad, and we used that salad for several weeks. It's delicious. I changed, not because I didn't like it, but I wanted to show you guys some different variations on the salad. And then Cornelia gave us a special meal as well. So Cornelia's was the jerk salmon. Yeah, the jerk salmon that we did, I'm probably about a month ago. So if you have something that you want me to try to break the fast, go ahead and put that in the comments. Steve says we use steak and chicken to break the fast. Yeah, so steak and chicken. And Steve and his wife makes an amazing creme brulee. I've actually had it. So Steve, thank you for getting that for me. And Steve, if you look at his sugars whenever he's talking and his ketones, it tends to stay in the nutritional and therapeutic ketosis range, right? So that's higher than 1.5. Well, higher than 0.5 for the nutritional, and then above 1.5 for the therapeutic. And then Anthony says 1, so he fasted with us the first day. Thank you for coming through. And then Steve says 175 this morning. He said, I started out at 225, y'all. And that is the power, and I should be eating, but I get excited about these comments. That's the power of what the Limitless Living Health Action Plan is. It is designed for benefit. And that's why it's called the Health Action Plan. That means that the things that we learn, they're great. I love the fact that you guys listen. I love the fact that you guys watch. But this is not a watching show. This is an action show. That's why we have the strength training that we do, that we have the videos, we have the walking that we do, we have the fasting episodes that we do. All of those are designed to give you a space that you come in and you can just plug into that without having to recreate the whole process. That's the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. Walking, fasting, strength training, balanced bites, or the ways that we eat, rest and recovery, our mental mastery, and then structure and planning. all of those, this is a blueprint. And with blueprint, it's like, if I follow this stuff over here, I'm going to end up with this product over here, right? That's what a blueprint is. So the health action plan is designed to be a blueprint. It's designed to be a checklist. That if I go through this checklist, I'm going to show up at my destination safely. It's kind of like on the plane. I don't want the pilot to just run in and just grab the yoke and take off. I need you to go through that list. I need you to check everything, right, to make sure everything is working. So the chances that we get to our destination goes up if we've gone through the list. It's also designed to be a set of guardrails. My son said to me once, and he was, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8. He said, why are there guardrails on the side of the road? He said, nobody deliberately drives their car into the guardrails. I said, no, but if they do, they're happy that the guardrails are there. So the guardrails are designed so that when you get off track, right, you know, and you kind of come back on track. And then finally, the health action plan is designed to be a set of safety guidelines. Oh, I love this. And we made that connection right here. I think Cornelia was the one. We sometimes think that guidelines are designed to inhibit us. But they're not designed to inhibit you. They're designed to actually protect you. It's like those rails, right? You're going down the stairs, you hold the rails. Why do you hold the rail? Because it's a safety issue. Or when I lived in New York and we would go up to the Empire State Building, go up to the Statue of Liberty, they've got rails and they're designed to keep you safe. So the health action plan is designed to be in that space for you and to do those things for you. And if you're following that, if you're walking through that process, then you get the benefits like you see Steve, 225 pounds down to 175. And Steve, I'm going to pick on you. And Steve has told us he is off of all of his insulin. He's off of, right? So it is something that you can do. And then let's see, Anthony, let's go back here. Anthony said, schedule mishap, ended eating fruits because of a late hour. It happens, Anthony, it happens. So I love the fact that you guys are getting those benefits. Now, we continue this process. We continue this process as we are moving into this space of being healthy and being successful with our metabolism. And that's the power of fasting. So every week as we go through the fast, we are righting our metabolism. We're improving blood sugars. We're improving our weight. We're improving our fatty liver. We're lowering our blood pressure. We're lowering our cholesterol. And we are decreasing the risk of, we talk about that type 3 diabetes, Alzheimer's disease. Oh yeah. So that now is linked with high blood sugars. It's linked with hyperinsulinemia. And so we're not just talking about blood sugar over here. We're not just talking about diabetes over here. This is a cascade that gives us so much benefit. And so as we talk about fasting as part of the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, our goal is, how do we use this tool effectively? That's what you see us doing. That's the space that we're in. And we continue to talk about that. We'll talk more about fasting. Hang on. We'll be back in just a minute. And so we continue in the process of fasting. We continue the process of our strength training, our walking, balance bites. And everything that we do on the channel is based on our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows. We educate with the blogs and the podcast. We empower with the tools that we're learning. So Limitless Living Health Action Plan, Balance Bites, the fasting that we're doing, the Road to Mastery that we have, the 100-Day Walk to Consistency and Health that we've been on, the Strength, Strategy, and Mindset series that we've done. All of that is with the intention of giving you tools that you could then apply the things that we learned. So once again, the theory is great. I love it. I love the fact that you listen. I love the fact that you are out there and you are having mindset change. But the things that we learn get infused with power when you add your action to it. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. And the encouragement comes from this amazing community that you are a part of that is walking this path with us. If you want to go somewhere, you can probably get there by yourself. But if you want to go there and you want to be sustained and you want to have success long term, take somebody with you. So come along with us, join our community. And Limitless Living says, oh yeah. Let me talk about this one. Limitless Living says that we are not just, oh, not sure what happened there a minute ago. Hold on a minute. There we go. That's the great thing about being live, right? So Limitless Living says that we are not going to accept what we're given, right? We've been talking about play your own game. Play your own game says that as part of Limitless Living, I am not being constrained by the things that try to hinder me. I'm showing up with my best self, my best health, and my best plans. I'm breaking through those boundaries. I'm breaking through those borders. I'm pushing through the obstacles, and I'm going to do what I need to do to be successful. I'm always excited when I'm here with you. Always glad to be in the community. Always glad to be in the space with you. We continue our trek as we move through the rest of this week. So tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, we have Video from the Vault at 9 p.m. Central. Sunday morning, This Week in Review at 6 a.m. And then we'll be right back here next Monday for Dwain Woode, MD Live at 7 p.m. Central as we continue working on our metabolism and setting ourselves for health success. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. So go live your limitless life, and we'll see you later this week, and we'll see you on Monday for our show, Dwain Woode MD Live. Have a great weekend, everybody.